Tonight on Joy News Prime, Speaker of Parliament cautions the legislature's press corps against providing coverage to non-parliamentary business whilst the House is in session.
Members of the parliamentary press corps will be strangers in this honorable House. It is forbidden, if they have any doubt, to abandon the permission given them to cover proceedings in this honorable House.
Some members of the press corps have, however, caged against it, suggesting it's an attempt to gag them. We have a statement coming in from the Parliamentary Service on the matter, which we'll share with you. Also in the bulletin, video of Sunyani residents assaulted for failing to comply with dress code for funeral of a Queen Mother goes viral. The Traditional Council is, however, distancing itself from the assault, saying some of the persons found in the video are not palace guards. Hospital staff at Ghana's main case management center for the COVID-19 virus, the Tema General Hospital, are worried the facility has not had supply from the water company for close to a year.
The Ghana Water Company lines doesn't flow at all. And so the hospital made arrangement to get a backup. And we spend no less than 3,000 cedis at least every week.
In business,
800 customers of defunct savings and loans and microfinance institutions to be paid through bonds.
Completed ongoing payments, we will be left with about 8,000 claims to clear by way of bonds only, from a total universe of 360,000 plus claims.
We will hear from the receiver Eric Nana Nepa shortly in business.
I'm Israel Lion. Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomlemle here in Accra with digital address GA0992539, where we're celebrating 25 years of fearless journalism. Stay tuned in. An attempt by the Speaker of Parliament to rein in members of the legislature's press corps has got proponents of media freedoms coming at him from all angles. Professor Michael Quay had threatened the journalists they could be sanctioned should they ever leave the chamber to cover press conferences by members of either sides of the House during proceedings. This was after Majority Leader Osechimen Sabonsu criticized the media for abandoning coverage of proceedings during debate of the State of the Nation address to cover a news briefing by Elembele MP Emmanuel Amakufibua.
Speaker, yesterday, as those proceedings have appropriately captured, we commenced the debate on the President's message on the State of the Nation. And along the line, I observed that the House had been made naked by media that were supposed to cover proceedings in the chamber. And I requested one of the deputy whips to follow up to see what was happening, because the media houses, their representatives in the House, had evacuated the chamber. Speaker, I was informed later by a deputy whip that indeed a member of Parliament who had opted not to be in the House to participate in the debate had engaged the press outside about the content of the President's speech, for which reason the press had followed that member outside. So, Speaker, let it be on record that the media are accredited to come and cover proceedings in the chamber. Any group or caucus that would want to engage the press could do so. But normally, Speaker, as we did when we were in the minority, we would engage the press before the sitting of the House. Perhaps something dramatic would have happened in the chamber, which may occasion the press following to inquire whatever might have happened. Other than that, if proceedings are going on in the chamber and you are accredited to cover proceedings, you don't leave the chamber. at the beck and call of an individual member of parliament to cover that member of parliament.
Now, his opposite number, Haruna Idrisu, supported the concerns, then urged the media to be guided.
Speaker, I've noted the concern raised by the majority leader. But you know, the deer doesn't laugh at the mother's teeth. I say the deer doesn't laugh at his mother's teeth. You are here once upon a time in the minority, and you are there as majority, and probably tomorrow you'll be here again. The clock will always change. I agree that the media should be dutiful to this parliament and to this house, and therefore the media behave in a manner that you are serving the institution of parliament and not any individual member of parliament. Mr. Speaker, it does not lie within the majority leader to determine who holds what conference when. That is why we are elected representatives. We are entitled to media, not just a parliamentary media. So, dutifully the media, be dutiful to the institution of parliament and be reminded by his past antecedents. The media be guided by his past antecedents, sitting here as minority leader. In what you do, whether those antecedents serve this house or serve his purpose as leader of the minority then, posterity is always a better jet. But I agree with you that the media must be up and doing. They should cover the proceedings of Parliament. Indeed, his invitation must extend to even the Minister for Information. That is why GBC is doing pretty well to cover, as they are doing, under their governance channel, and I'm sure they did, to be fair to them.
Professor Michael Kwe then reminded the media there were guests who had to play by the rules of the House or have their accreditation withdrawn.
I take a very serious view of the matter raised. Apart from the recognition and permission granted by the Speaker, members of the Parliamentary Press Corps will be strangers in this honorable House. In other words, they have our permission to be here by dint of their profession and the work expected of them, and we regard them very, very highly. I want to make it clear that as much as they may give interviews before or after the plenary and the proceedings inside this honorable House, and which interview or contribution could be from the majority or the minority, any day, it is forbidden, if they have any doubt, to abandon the permission given them to cover proceedings in this honorable House and go outside the chamber itself and do some other work other than coming to cover proceedings in this honorable House. We have a saying in our Tree language, if you don't understand, please beg for assistance and understand. And this is very, very important. And honorable members, our democracy must be developing. And I feel very sad when references are made from whatever angle to those things that may or may not have happened in the past, which have nothing to do with me anyway today. So let us make progressive development in such a manner that we should not be slaves of the evil practices of the past, if any. Because definitely our republic must develop, and we must not major in minors, nor the undesirables. This affects both sides of the house. I want to let the media know if that which is reported to have happened.
Not all the MPs were in support of the leadership. NDC MP for Adaklu Kwame Agboja believed the minority leader should have taken the side of the media.
The majority and minority leaders' reaction for me, in principle, is like, okay, focus on the fact that you are here because of us. But what you were doing here was also a fact. Speaker's ruling for me gets close to gagging the media once again. I don't want to think of a day where we should tell you what you should cover and not to cover in Parliament. I think that was a bit over the top. Members of Parliament have freedom to speak on the floor and outside of the precinct of Parliament. And you do cover us fairly. I have no reason to say that any of you cover us biased or anything. You cover what happens on the floor. The point the majority leader was making was that on a particular day that they were debating the state of the nation, why did you leave the chamber to go and listen to somebody else? I think that's neither here nor there. Because it's not the first time you've done this. You are news reporters. What is news to you is what you're looking for. So I can speak to you now. You decide you're not taking it to your studios or you're not doing anything because it doesn't make sense to you. The boring debate they were doing yesterday, you've had it all. In fact, the president didn't say anything new. So if you decide, if somebody had something to say, you come. And in fact, I didn't see all of you congregate anywhere anyway. And the point that he made was, oh, okay, make sure you cover the floor appropriately. You do cover the floor appropriately every day. In fact, yesterday, it was just a few minutes that you were missing from there. Not even all of you. And you came back to the floor.
Now, members of the Parliamentary Press Corps have been reacting to the Speaker's directive. Though the Dean, OUTBREAK, says there is no cause for concern, his colleague journalists describe the situation as unfortunate.
I don't think that it's a strict directive from the Speaker that whilst the House is sitting, you can't even do anything, can't practice any journalistic work.
It sounded so because he made the point that if what happened yesterday happens again, the journalists could have their status as guest of the House shut down to a certain extent.
It could be it sounded so whilst he was delivering the ruling on the floor of the House. But when we had the interview, the one-on-one meeting with him, his response wasn't like he wanted to direct us or not to do anything at all while the House is sitting. It was a way of trying to caution us to know how to compromise our work while the House is sitting.
We have a situation where when Parliament is sitting, the Speaker himself invites us to come and cover courtesy calls. Is he saying that by this directive, his courtesy calls, we should not cover his courtesy calls to when Parliament is sitting? This is a question we want to ask.
So for you disagree generally with the whole directive?
I totally disagree with this directive. As I said, when we come to Parliament, covering proceedings of Parliament is not limited to what happens in the chamber.
Exactly. I see no cause for alarm. I think we are free to do our work. Nobody is trying to gag anybody here. I have covered Parliament for so many years, and this issue, I think this is the second time this issue has cropped up, but we've always found a way to deal with it.
All right, let me now bring you the Parliamentary Service. The statement from the Parliamentary Service I mentioned earlier on in the bulletin, and it says Parliament not seeking to gag press, and it continues. The Office of Parliament has noted media reports reporting that the Speaker of Parliament is seeking to gag the media. The office would like to put on record that at no time, either in his capacity as Speaker or in his personal capacity, as Professor Aaron Mike Okwe sought to prevent the media from doing its work. This allegation follows events from the chamber on Tuesday, 26th February, during which concerns were raised about the media leaving the chamber during the deliberations by members in the House. In fact, proceedings from the chamber centered on the need for members of the core to remain in the chamber while proceedings were ongoing to ensure that they had a full account of the event as they unfolded. The Speaker, in his directive, referred to the primary reason for which members of the media are accredited to report from the House and urged them to focus on same. The Speaker further stated that members of the media wanting to secure interviews from parliamentarians could do that before or after sittings to enable them to remain in the chamber during proceedings. He further asked both sides of the House to desist from asking the media for speaking opportunities when the House is sitting. Now, Parliament recognizes the critical role of the media, and the Speaker made reference to same when he spoke about the high regard with which he holds the media's work. Both leaders referred to the need for a dutiful media and the need for the media to remain in the chamber while the House is still in session. Parliament, the Speaker, leaders, and the entire membership of the House remain committed to the ideals of a free media and freedom of speech as provided for in Chapter 12 of the 1992 Constitution, and will not do anything to jeopardize this. And this is signed by Kate Addo, who's the Director of Public Affairs at Parliament House. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin. Hospital staff at Ghana's main case management center for the COVID-19 virus, the Tema General Hospital, are worried the facility has not had supply from the water company for close to a year.
The Ghana Water Company lines doesn't flow at all. And so the hospital made arrangement to get a backup. And we spend no less than 3,000 cedis at least every week.
Stay tuned in, we'll be bringing you that story in a bit. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister Kweku Asoma-Akyereme was on Wednesday confronted with hardcore evidence the government's war against illegal mining is far from over. This was when he paid an unannounced visit to the western region town of Amiase in Sota, where illegal miners had outwitted the lean team of the Forestry Commission to pillage 80 hectares of the Fui River Forest Reserve. Addressing journalists at the depleted portions of the reserve, Mr. Asoma-Akyereme said he did not expect that scale of destruction.
Future, I'm not around. The record is there for anyone that chances on to trace where that equipment has gone to. That is why I say that, to the best of my knowledge, no excavator has been sold. And to the best of my knowledge, and according to law, the equipment seized are not to be sold.
Where are they now?
But if we take law,
how many excavators do you have in your possession?
You can't take law away. How can you take law away? When you take law away, you will not be in existence.
How many excavators for the 3 years? How many excavators do we have so far in your possession?
As I speak to you now, I'm yet to take full inventory together with the the committee in charge of interministerial committee to ascertain the figures involved. You know, the law was recently amended just last year to give the Minister of Mines that opportunity to take charge of all such equipment. So I have spoken to my brother Frimpong Boateng, my colleague, to go all out with my ministry so that we take inventory of such equipment, and then a formal handing over is made to the ministry. So as I talk to you now, I cannot best tell the number.
Thank you very much. Forgive my ignorance, but I want to find out how much has been spent so far in the fight against illegal mining.
Thank you. Unless I look at my record, I cannot tell. It comes as part of budget per a year. So if you calculate from 2017, we know, but it is on paper. So until I refresh my memory, I will not be in a position to tell you the exact figure.
But you're in a position to estimate?
The Forest Manager Stephen Asamoah attributed the surge in illegal mining to the leniency of the law regulating the sector. He told journalists the sanctions imposed by the courts are not deterrent enough for the miners. Mr. Dua also lamented the much heralded new mining law lacks bite.
2015 and 2016, we had the highest records, but due to the quest of the First Commission to fight illegal galaxy within the Western region, a lot of excavators were burnt. So that was a deterrent enough for those illegal galaxies to move out of the place, and we saw them. So the 80 hectares was not just a period of just 2 years, but almost 10 years.
So within that 10-year period, would you say you were sleeping on the job?
No,
that you didn't ensure that the forest is protected?
Let me correct you here. These illegal miners come in the night, and our able men also attack them, make sure that we retrieve their equipment. And looking at the rate of reclamation done there, you can see the effort of the Forestry Commission in reclaiming those sites. So the Forestry Commission have done a lot just to prove within the Western region that we are capable of managing and protecting our resources.
Capable of managing? You realize that they come at night. What strategy did you put in place to ensure that you combat what they do at night?
What we do is with the strength of the rapid response team from even central region to precise Zonkwao, and then the regional monitoring team from the Sefiyo also district, combined with the staff strength, the Forestry Commission staff strength here, we adopt a strategy with informants, and then those equipment are retrieved, and most of the people are arrested. What is not motivating us enough is the punitive measures given by the court. Recently, you can see, as I told you, 7 people were arrested here, precisely where we are just the Furi River. So all the punishment the court gave was 700 Ghana cedis as a penalty, and it was not motivating enough for our boys, because to gather resources and then arrest armed people, retrieve 2 pump machines, and at the end, at the risk of your life, and the court to award a penalty of 700 cedis for 600 cedis for the people to go scot-free, I think that is not motivating enough. But we are motivated by our strength, by our target for the year, that we have to fight the galaxy to the latest end.
Now, Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, the Majority Leader, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, has jumped to the defense of members of Parliament who were captured in the Auditor General's report as beneficiaries of GETFUND scholarships. Education Minister Matthew Poku-Prempeh and Deputy Majority Leader Adjoa Safo were among MPs whose names came up. But Mr. Oseche Mensah-Bonsu says MPs are not very well resourced and therefore can also, at some point, be classified as needy.
I think that MPs are well endowed. I would suggest to you that it's not like that at all.
But they are not needy. Under the laws that govern the GETFUND.
What is needy?
It's needy is needy. Your constituents who
no, what is needy?
Who you fund with your...
If somebody wants to continue his education, right, at a particular time, he or she cannot provide the funding himself for that enterprise.
Member of Parliament.
No, I'm saying. Yes, member of Parliament. You think that if maybe the person has to pay about $10,000 for one term, the member of Parliament can afford that?
Should be able to afford that.
You don't know. You don't know what you're talking about. Honestly, you don't know what you're talking about. You are one of those people who think that the MPs are very well resourced.
No, but there's opportunity cost. That $10,000 to the MP means 10,000 cedi less for somebody in his constituency who really, really needs that money.
Yes, I'm saying that.
I'm asking a general question. Should there be any circumstance where member of Parliament should benefit from a state scholarship that is defined in the law as for the needy?
It's if at that critical point, the member can be classified as needy at that critical point.
Can that ever happen, that a member of Parliament can be classified as needy?
Why not? I have said I have not assessed it.
Yeah.
And I can't speak for all of them.
But you defend, you're not condemning the fact that the members of Parliament...
You seem to think that they are not needy.
But you say they are.
I'm saying that they are because you seem to think that the remuneration of the member of Parliament should be sufficient to cater for him.
But does that justify? I get the point.
And I'm saying that it's not.
Does that justify you relying on?
I have said that I don't, and I don't know the condition.
Okay.
They
so
were
it doesn't justify.
The condition they were in before they applied.
If you want to hear more about the needy members of Parliament, a full interview will be aired at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. To make it, we're taking a break to bring you business news. But still ahead in the bulletin, we have the story about the hospital that's supposed to be taking care or managing coronavirus cases that hasn't had water flow through its staff for close to a year.
The Ghana Water Company lines doesn't flow at all. And so the hospital made arrangement to get a backup. And we spend no less than 3,000 cedis at least every week.
Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit. All right, it's time for business, and Sandra Afeno is here. Hello, Sandra.
Yes, the whole of this week we've been talking about the customers of the defunct savings and loans and microfinance institutions, the role of the receiver, those text messages and all that. But today the receiver has actually been speaking.
Okay.
And so we'll be hearing from Eric Nana Nipa.
Have we heard from any of the customers who have been paid?
Yes, yesterday we had them on set here and they said, okay, today.
They've been paid?
Yes, some of them have started receiving those text messages.
Not text messages, actually payment.
Payments.
I'm reliably informed that some payments.
Oh, I see. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
All right. So celebrating 25 years of joy. My name is Sandra S. And as always, I'm here for business. During the last State of the Nation address, President Akufo-Addo promised full payment of customers of defunct savings and loans and microfinance institutions. The process, which was expected to begin on Monday, has delayed, with some customers complaining they are yet to get messages from the receiver. Today, our checks has revealed some customers have actually started receiving text messages. But before we hear from the receiver on where we are now, let's take a look at the story so far. And I have some infographic for you. And if you can see, is the payment of local funds. And we have 347 microfinance companies, as well as 23 savings and loans and finance house companies have their licenses revoked, if you remember, in 2019. And then when you move on to that, microcredit institutions in official liquidations were also included. And then government has made available to the receiver a combination of cash. And today we know that bonds totaling approximately 5 billion Ghana cedis for payment of depositors. Over 352,000 claims will fully be paid by cash. And the new information we are getting today is that 8,000 claims to be cleared by way of bonds. More than 2,000 claims have already been paid and issued with corresponding messages. And as part of payment modalities, CBG will open new accounts for all depositors whose claims have been validated. And you can see the receiver there, and he's in the person of Eric Nana Nipa. Let's hear from him on how payments will be made so far.
Having completed ongoing payments, we will be left with about 8,000 claims to clear by way of bonds only, from a total universe of 360,000 plus claims.
All right, so we'll bring you that report later, but moving on, a team from the Bank of Ghana today hits town to ensure retailers comply with the central bank's foreign exchange laws, which prohibits pricing and issuing using foreign currencies to transact business. The operation is part of efforts by the central bank to control the depreciation of the local currency. The team went to the Kuala supermarket at Cantonment and the Palace shopping mall along the Spinters Road in Accra. There's more in this report.
The day's operation was to sustain the level of compliance by some retail outlets to the foreign exchange laws of the country and to intensify education against the use of dollars in local transactions. The team also went to a travel and tour agency that was alleged to be operating a forex bureau in violation of the foreign exchange regulations. Upon interrogation, the manager at the office denied that it is operating a forex bureau.
It's just like when you want to open a new business and you display open soon or opening now.
There's no opening soon there. There's no opening soon there.
Yeah, What I mean is, if you are trying to open a new company, this company has been open already. It's a travel and tour, and we are trying to attach the foreign coherent, so we can't go ahead and display opening soon here also, because the company has already been open as a travel and tour.
But everyone knows that this place is a forest bureau.
They know that here is a travel and tour.
Because when we asked at the entrance, they directed us here.
Yes, because of the forest bureau that has been displayed, they have the intention that here is a forest bureau. But we who are working here knows that we are not the forest bureau.
And that is why I'm asking that. Why do you have the forest bureau then when you know that you are not yet operating the forest bureau?
The team instructed the signage to be pulled off from the building immediately. Managers of the Palace Mall assure that they will not allow foreign currency transactions in their premises. At the Cantonment branch of Kuala Shopping Mall, the manager refused to engage officials of the Bank of Ghana or even accept the notice issued. Briefing the media on the operations, Head of Communication at the Central Bank, A.C. Hammond, said the bank will not hesitate to prosecute any individual or business that fails to comply with the law after several warnings.
We'll continue with the mystery shopping, if you like, in various different institutions. And then we will definitely take actions, because the law, it spells out clearly what happens. You know,
we need a scapegoat, at least. Let's get one.
That will definitely happen. But we are not interested in just, catching anybody's scapegoats. We are interested in the education going down. But once we have engaged you and it happens again, yes, then the law would definitely have to take its course, because we would have evidence, for example, we would have this evidence that shows that we actually interacted with you, you know.
The move is part of efforts by the bank to help control the depreciation of the cedi. Ebenezer Sabotage report for Joy Business.
Let's do other stories now. The Association of Oil Marketing Companies, AOMC, says it will not budge to pressure being mounted on oil marketing companies to reduce fuel prices. Stakeholders say favorable pricing determinants require a marked reduction in prices at the pump. Unfortunately, prices have not gone down significantly as expected. The AOMC, however, says although the cedi has been fairly stable, prices cannot come down immediately.
The cedi, tax, and international oil prices are the key drivers in determining the cost of fuel at the pump. While the Association of Oil Marketing Companies says taxes have been constant, the cedi also has been appreciating. But this will not lead to a reduction in products significantly.
For us, it's about 3 weeks ago that we started seeing a trend. It's between the coronavirus demand going down, because Chinese people consume a lot of fuel, and also the appreciation of the cedi. But hitherto, that one nobody comment about it. We were sweating on the diesel. The rate at which the diesel price was going up, that was not what we actually increased. That's why when you are coming down, you will not expect to have a proportionate reduction of the price, because that's where we also recover.
In the past 2 weeks, various organizations and individuals, including former MPA boss Alex Mould, have waded into the discussion. Mr. Mould insisted the regulator should step in.
I think there should be more accountability. The National Petroleum Authority should come out very clearly as to how much taxes we are paying, and the Ministry of Finance should actually tell the people of Ghana what those taxes are being used for. We cannot be paying taxes continuously, and if you look at the petroleum price build-up critically, our tax element is one of the highest in the west coast of Ghana, of Africa.
We have said that the way prices are set in Ghana, it continuously works against the consumer. Unless something is done about the whole price build-up, it will be difficult for Ghanaians to have the sort of reliefs they need to get when world market dynamics are favorable, when the cedi is also stable, and when taxes are also stable. Unfortunately, every one of these indicators, when you find world market prices go down, then government sneaks in more taxes. When the cedi is stable, government, reintroduces taxes that they are taking off. When the cedi now depreciates, they add. When world market prices go up, they add. When taxes go up, they add. So these things cannot continue.
But The Association of Oil Marketing Companies boss, Kwaku Ajimandua, won't have any of that. While the city is appreciating with reduction in finished petroleum prices, including a stable tax component, the AMC says that is not enough. Prices may reduce significantly if the cedi against the dollar continues to strengthen.
The heads of Food and Drugs Authority, Veterinary Services and Customs Laboratories at the Port of Tema that there exists a lack of proper coordination through information sharing among them, which is a possible and major cause of the growing concern of unwholesome food products making their way into the country and eventually being consumed by the citizenry. The admission comes on the back of 3 containers containing contaminated gizzard, which were cleared from the port by Perez Foods Limited in February 2019. The Chief Executive Officer of the Access Pension Trust, Mr. Friyo Ware, has noted that at the moment, only 1.6 million out of the 10 million people in the labour force are covered by pension scheme. He described the situation as a sad development that must be tackled but not through the micro-pension initiatives as proposed by the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, NPRA. In his view, the proposal by the NPRA is a short-term intervention that may not be sustainable.
That's all for the first part of business. I am Sandra S. and I'm back after 8 p.m. with more business news.
It's time for Showbiz. Noella has joined me. Hello, Noella.
Hi, Israel. All right, so easy. One of the questions a lot of music lovers would love to have answers to is when will the music elections come on? They were supposed to have the elections last year in May. No, they haven't, because one of the presidential aspirant, Caleb Levi, took the union to court over some election anomalies he cited, and then later we heard they agreed to settle the case out of. But that's the last we heard on that. So I caught up with Diana Hobson, who is a former musical president, and she has been bringing us up to speed.
Honestly, I would say it was very unfortunate that one aspiring member could take the union to court at a short time where there was really the need for a smooth transition. Well, everybody has his rights, but there's freedom and justice. And so I believe it went to court, it came out. Now the road is smooth. Actually, I would not be the spokesperson to speak because I'm into it, so I know what is happening. But what I can just say briefly is that the elections will come on by all means. Hopefully, by March, it will come on. Details will come out very soon. In fact, I'm aware that from the 7th of February, the meetings that would bring out some of these timelines and things might have all met, and all the details will come out. I want to encourage Ghanaian musicians that they shouldn't lose hope in their union. That's all they have, and let's all come together to build. Indeed, things have gone on rough, but if we will all get committed and do our part, I believe the music union can take on a vibrant role and play its part for the industry to grow.
A lot of people have also, criticized Obo. Some of the believe that he absolutely did nothing or close to nothing. And if he did something, he basically didn't tackle the needful or the important things he had to do for the industry. What are your thoughts on that as well?
Honestly, when I hear people just say it flat, that a leader did nothing, my heart breaks. Because the fact that you are even carrying that title itself is a weight. So I believe Obo did his best. He could have done better. There's always room for improvement, but he did what he could. He did.
Right, so in the meantime,
there's no president. Yeah, there's no president.
Can't she stay on?
No, she can't. But away from that, Omar Sharif Captain, who's an actor, movie producer, and now a man of God, was on the Behind the Fame segment on Joy FM with Lexus Bill.
Right.
And he told the story of how he nearly got discouraged from doing the work of God simply because of the dubious ways some of his colleague pastors use in extorting money from congregants.
There are question marks, okay, in everybody. But when you go beyond the barrier and you start using what I would say dubious means to speak as a prophet, I have a problem with that. Okay. You get it. And once you begin to do that, then I have a big question mark. And you see, that means you are touching the hand of God. You are deceiving people by saying that God is telling you. Meantime, God is not the one who told you.
You see a lot of that lately?
Lately.
How are you able to tell?
By some of the utterances that some of the pastor will say, like if you are a prophet, you say, Eya Shenkom. Eya Shenkom. It doesn't come by just you say, oh, Shenkom. No. It doesn't come like that. It's a God's gift. And as it comes, you see, it's not even the pastor or the prophet who decides to give a prophecy. What happens? It is because of the request that the person has laid in front of God. Okay? That's why God used you to tell the person the prophecy.
This main case management center for the COVID-19 virus says it has not had any supply from the National Water Company for close to a year. The hospital explains it is, as a result, having to spend more than 3,000 cedis every week to buy water into its reservoirs. This, it says, does not bode well for the critical role it has to play in keeping the deadly coronavirus out of Ghana. PSA Nane Asafo has more in the following report.
Imagine going a day without water, none to drink, have a bath, or prepare meals with. It is truly an unhealthy outcome, even worse when the facility in question is a hospital, where the utility is needed to clean wounds, mop floors of wards, and to keep surgical instruments free of infection.
Yeah, it's not flowing.
Tremantin Benson is administrative manager at the Tema General Hospital.
These challenges for the past 1 year.
TGH is the biggest health facility in the Tema metropolis, with 24-hour specialist and general medical services. It was designated a coronavirus case management center last month. It might seem prepared for the global epidemic, yet an administrator there who prefers to remain anonymous opens up about its local water problems.
It's an issue because patients come, the washrooms needs to be closed because there is no water to flush. Most often the Ghana Water Company lines doesn't flow at all. And so the hospital made arrangement to get a backup. So we engage the private tankers and we spend not less than 3,000 cedis at least every week.
That is an estimated 150,000 cedis of the hospital's revenue spent on water each year, even though it is supposed to be supplied by the Ghana Water Company. The administrator, however, insists this should not affect the hospital's preparedness to contain coronavirus cases, but there.
Maybe the fact that Ghana Water is not supplying water, we have nothing to do. We have the Veronica bucket, like I said, where we store water so that in case there is any need for you to wash your hands, that can be a backup plan. And then also we have the alcohol hand wash, which also we have put in place to ensure there is thorough hand washing.
Is it adequate?
Of course it is.
Staff and families of patients who spoke with Joy News, however, disagree with the hospital management. They describe the situation as unbearable and have called for authorities to immediately intervene.
In the OPD here, you know, we have one of the commercial washrooms here. So like when there isn't enough water flowing or water is not flowing, you know this awful smell, yes. It comes to the whole OPD, which is not appealing. So we'll plead to the government and then the health sector if they can aid the facility in implementing most of our water issues. And then most of the patients, you know, they tend to develop this body odor when there isn't enough water or shortage of water.
It is embarrassing for a hospital of this repute to continuously be in this situation, she says. There is no water available most times. You can only imagine the blood and state of the mothers who deliver here. We are calling on authorities to act immediately. Water is so hard to get sometimes. We have to search and search till we reach our only option, sometimes a mortuary facility close by. The Ghana Water Company in Tema could not be reached for comment, even though they conceded they are aware of the challenge. Meanwhile, patients and their families are having to bring in their own water to complement hospital efforts. PSC Nanaya Safo, Joy News.
Now, more than 5,000 communities, mostly in the northern part of the country, have been declared open defecation free. That's according to the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, who, together with participants, developing partners, embarked on a targeted campaign to stop the practice. The ministry has been explaining a plan which it hopes to achieve Ghana's targets of an open defecation-free status nationwide by 2020.
According to UNICEF's latest reports, 1 out of 5 Ghanaians defecate openly, a problem reported in 2016 would take 500 years to fix. But it seems change is fast occurring, at least in the regions up north. However, recognizing that Ghana is largely off track in meeting its sanitation goals with only 21% of the population using improved sanitation facilities, Deputy Water and Sanitation Minister Yawama explains plans to reach the nationwide goal.
Scaling up the basic sanitation information system nationwide to provide regular monitoring data across the country. Nana Chairman, we applaud the measures like the district sanitation league tables, which have generated immense success in the regions where they have been implemented. And would like to announce that a national league table system will be rolled out soon for such districts and constituencies.
These efforts have been largely compensated with support from development partners. For accelerated progress, development partner UNICEF is happy about the progress so far. Here is Chief of Water, Sanitation and Hygiene, Ramesh Bushal.
We have to create an enabling environment where households are encouraged to invest in sanitation. And one of the enabling environment is also telling the community and society that, hey, defecating in open is not an acceptable behavior. It is an offense to our culture, it is an offense to our national pride, and we should not do that. And if somebody is found doing that, it's punishable offense.
Nadoli Kalio is one of the success stories. DCE for the area, Catherine Tayiri Lankono, talks of plans to sustain the status.
With the involvement of the assembly members who are permanent residents of the communities and the chiefs, because we continuously tell them, we continuously whip up their interests, we continuously compare the communities that are doing well with those that are lagging behind. So I think that the edge is there to do it and to sustain it.
The other areas which have attained open defecation-free status include Tatale and Dambai. As they celebrate these successes, the country and development partners are still mindful that an estimated 22% of the population still openly defecate. Essie Nyamicha Thompson for Joy News.
Authorities at the Kumasi Central Prison have initiated a project to upgrade its infirmary to a health center to enable it effectively handle healthcare needs of inmates. The Ashanti Regional Prisons Commander Deputy Director of Prisons, Owusam Punsan, says the initiative is the only option. He says they are currently overwhelmed by congestion-related medical conditions due to overcrowding. He wants corporate and individual support in medical supplies and other logistics to bring the facility to acceptable standards. Nana Sensumensa has more in this report.
Kumasi Central Prison, with initial maximum capacity of 600 inmates, presently accommodates nearly 2,000 inmates. The swelling numbers of prisoners in such limited facility causes congestion and intense heat, with attendant skin and other infections like chickenpox and flu. Deputy Director of Prisons Amponsan says the infirmary expansion project is being funded by internal sources.
You see, this place is supposed to take about 600 inmates, but Now we have more than about 300% increase. The place is overcrowded, and we transfer some of them to the local prisons. And we transfer some of them to the local prisons to decongest the prison. And we need drugs. We need some facilities to help them to stay here comfortably. We want to upgrade the infirmary to a clinic, and then we need help from outsiders, donors. See, sectors like chickenpox and other rashes are rampant over here. So we need some drugs from the individuals. We need donations from individuals to help us to.
The prison's commander spoke to Insure News when the NPP Women's Wing visited the facility to donate medical supplies for inmates. Regional organizer Nanama Japoma led the delegation.
Best any near my name be a bit me abwa clinic and almost setting inside so it's me upon him. You're taking note of it. Me catch you say, yeah, mammy.
She says, we have received complaints that the prison's officials want to upgrade the infirmary into clinic. We will convey their plea to the First Lady Rebecca Kufuado. We know she is very passionate in ensuring quality health delivery for the vulnerable. We will continuously support the inmates with medical supplies.
Mother and baby center now that was so many years or the few moms every year I walk home omutimi ko enya baby da e ma ye ma no so aba fofo no so nya baby da tinim say e ka che ye maame a ombubu ni ti kra obeboa ama sa clinic na ye nuanom pese ye ma wo mu e ma omusoso mu ho du wo mu a ombenya apomuden no.
Nana Asensumensa reporting.
Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Saleh has appealed to metropolitan, municipal and district coordinating directors in the country to support the government to enable it implement its policies and programs to better the lives of the people. He said he is not asking them to join the New Patriotic Party, but their cardinal principle as coordinating directors, they are to support the government of the day. Dr. Bin Saleh made a statement at a ceremony for the signing of performance contracts by municipal and district chief executives and their coordinating directors. Join News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bin Saleh noted that stories about strained relationship between some metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives and their coordinating directors in some parts of the country are not palatable, graciously remarking that nothing of that sort is happening in the Upper West region. However, he entreated coordinating directors in the various assemblies in the country to implement its programs and policies to better the lives of the people.
This is an election year. We need the support and cooperation of every one of you. The cardinal principle of the service is for you to be loyal to the government of the day. We are not asking that you should be members of the New Patriotic Party, not at all. But please support your chief executives to implement the policies and programs of the government. We will not tolerate any staff who would want to sabotage the efforts of the government. That will not be tolerated.
Dr. Bin Saleh advised the municipal and district coordinating directors in the Upper West region to use the performance indicators as contained in the performance contract to set targets for individual staff for their performance appraisal instrument to be entered in by all staff.
This will be the surest way of achieving the set targets, and if a particular officer or staff is found to be one letting down the assembly in achieving its performance targets, appropriate sanctions could be meted out to such an officer or staff.
He concluded by urging them to live exemplary lives in the communities they work in.
I also want to urge you to take control of your respective assemblies. Show leadership. set good examples so that those working with you will emulate the examples that you espouse in the assembly. Together, we can make the Upper West a better place, and the onus lies on us because we are the leaders of the region.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Now, the wooden track belonging to the WA School for the Deaf, alleged to have been auctioned by the interdicted Upper West Director of the Ghana Education Service, has finally been brought back to the school. This follows the 3-week ultimatum giving the interdicted director, Duncan Insor, to bring back the wooden track or they hit the streets with it in a demonstration. Though the wooden track, also known as a bone shaker, has been brought back to the school, Joy News Upper West correspondent Rafik Salam reports that there are several changes done to it, with several parts either destroyed or missing.
The Ghana Education Service 2 weeks ago interdicted its Upper West Regional Director, Duncan Insor, over several allegations, including the auctioning of a wooden truck belonging to the WA School for the Deaf without the approval of the Director General of the Ghana Education Service and the WA School for the Deaf. A week later, the Ghana Federation of the Disabled also followed up with a press conference, giving a 3-week ultimatum to the interdicted director to bring back the wooden truck. A couple of days ago, a wooden truck that looked like that of the WA School for the Deaf was brought to the school. So we are here at the school to speak to the headmaster whether really that was a truck that was moved out and whether they have any issues with it coming back.
Yes. But we could not actually go for it wherever it was because I didn't think that was the proper thing. Because once it went out, it should come back. And because it has become a national issue, I could not bypass my regional director and go there. So I said, well, they should receive it on our behalf. We will come and inspect it. And if we think there are no issues, we will willingly pick it up.
The wooden bone shaker truck was finally brought to the school last Saturday.
It looks like it. Why do I say so? Our vehicle went with the brand name, WADEF on it, but it came without any inscription on it. But of course, registration number is the same, the color is still the same, so we believe that is it.
Upon thorough inspection of the truck, they realized that there were some changes and several parts missing.
We had 2 jacks inside it. They are not there. The driving mirrors are not there. One is completely broken off. The other one is the glass that is broken. What is more disturbing, we realized that the tank, the fuel tank, they've put a tube connecting directly to the engine, which was not the case, and for what reason it has been done. But the mechanic is telling us that it means a system is failing to work.
Sylvester Bayo said for the truck to be back on the road, they need to dip deep into their pockets, which they are unable to do due to monetary constraints, and they will appreciate it if benevolent organizations come to their aid.
Difficult to say. The mechanics will know better. But of course, normally we use 2.5 gallons oil. If you consider the price, I don't know. We'll need filters. We need to change filters, fuel, and then air filters. So it's always quite an amount in a way.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
The Sunyani Traditional Council has condemned incidents of assaults of persons in the Brno Regional Capital for failing to comply with the dress code issued by the Funeral Planning Committee of the Queen Mother, Nana Ya Nyama Pudio II. The condemnation comes. Secretary to the Funeral Planning Committee, Vida Krang, has condemned the attacks. 2 of the attackers, she says, have been found to have infiltrated the committee's ranks and are assisting the police with investigations. She assured the safety of people within the Sunyani traditional area during and after the funeral. She asked traders to cause the arrest of anyone, including the so-called traditional warriors, who may harass them, insisting they should freely go about the activities except on Friday, February 28, 2020, the day the Queen Mother will be buried. The Brno Regional Police Crime Officer Nana Kwekudia has been speaking about the attacks in Sunyani. He says some police officers who were captured in the viral videos of the attacks have been identified and are assisting in investigations. Now, Sogakofa SHS is poised to make a mark at the 2020 National Science and Maths Quiz after they picked the first slot at the Volta Regional Qualifiers. Their 51 points was enough to secure them a fifth straight appearance at the National Championship. They crashed regional contenders Wovonu SHTS, Peki SHS, and Paja SHS. In 2019, Sogasco could not make it past the preliminary stage of the Nationals when they lost to Takrady SHS. But the contestants of Sogakofa SHS are focused on making it to the semi-finals of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Volta Regional Correspondent Fred Kwame Asari has more in the following report.
The water cycle describes the continuous movement of water on, above, and below the surface of the earth. Mention one of the main stages of the water cycle. Sogakopa? Evaporation is right.
That was how Sogakopa Senior High School took off in the first contest for day one of the Volta Regional Qualifiers of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Wovenu Senior High Technical School, Peki Senior High School, and Beje Senior High School were no match for Sogasco, as they failed to make their major questions count. Contestants for Sogakopa Senior High School, God Bless Asila and Christopher Jidolao, left nothing to chance to keep their campaign on. They sealed their qualifications with 34 points gap from their closest contenders, Wovenu Senior High Technical School.
At the end of the contest, Beje SHS had 11 points, Peki SHS 13 points, Wovenu Senior High Technical School 17 points, Sogakopa SHS 51 points. Congratulations to Sogakopa for making it to the national stage.
Christopher Jidolao was speaking about their prospect for the national championship in Accra.
So we just have to take our time and analyze the questions, and then after we answer them, we're able to get up. We did a lot of internal contests among each other, and also read books that were outside of our syllabus. That also helped us to get better. I want to say that NSMQ is not our big schools. It's about preparing your small canna and shining wherever you go, and that's what we are going to do.
Head of the Mathematics Department of Sogakopa Senior High School, Joseph Agbobri, is expectant of his school reaching the semi-final stages at this year's national.
Our target this time, last we stopped at 1A stage. This time we are preparing that at least we reach half a semi-final. That's our target this year. Actually, the boys that we have now, we start training them when they were in Form 2. One of them started from first year. So we are putting more effort to get some lot of questions for them through their own research that can be the target that we have.
In all, 12 schools from the region are expected to join seeded schools, Kata Senior High Technical School and Kpando Senior High School, to battle for the trophy of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Well, congratulations to them. We're taking a break to bring you the second dose of business. Stay tuned in.
Hello again and welcome back to Business. My name is Sandra Esenam Apene. The Banana Producers Association is confident of maximizing exports in the coming weeks as stakeholders in the fruit and vegetable community signed on to a banana occupational health and safety initiative. The Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Ignatius Bafo-Ewa, believes the move can ensure sustainable banana production.
Workers within the banana production value chain can go about their daily activities without fear of not being covered under any occupational health and safety regulation. Facilitated by the World Banana Forum and Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the Banana Occupational Health and Safety Initiative is expected to cushion farmers against some hazards that come with production of bananas in Ghana. Minister of Employment and Labour Relations Ignatius Bafo-Ewa remarked the initiative will soon be replicated across all sectors of work.
This manual will be given live through constant application and reference by plantation owners as well as unions and workers to enable us reduce accidents on the farms to the barest minimum.
President of the Banana Producers Association, Anthony Blay, explained to Joy Business how urgent the Banana Occupational Health and Safety Initiative will be to enhancing exports of bananas from Ghana.
We are faced with the huge challenge of minimizing the impact of the use of agrochemicals, as well as relative to the fact that most of the activities are manual, which means that the human element, the people who are involved in the production processes, should be offered the needed protection.
Meanwhile, Health Services Manager of Golden Exotics Limited, Dr. Kofi David, has details to Joy Business contents of Banana Occupational Health and Safety Initiative.
It's actually an occupational health and safety management system that we are setting up. So this is more of the policy document. That's part one.
The manual will be officially launched in February and expected to benefit women in the banana production value chain.
The Accra West region of the Electricity Company of Ghana has cautioned the public against power theft. Speaking to Joy Business after surcharging a local radio station at Futobi, Nyenswam, Acting General Manager of ECG, Engineer Emmanuel Ankuma, expressed shock at how some individuals and institutions connived to rid the company of the desired revenue. Fred Duho has more in this report.
The Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, is once again moving to arrest notorious entities who are persistently engaged in power theft. The inability of citizens to enjoy continuous power supply has sometimes been linked to illegal activities of unscrupulous persons and institutions who enjoy power at the expense of the rest of the public. The Accra West region of the ECG has declared war on such persons and institutions. A local FM station known as the Forum for Women Educationists FM has fallen victim to the situation. The company has been disconnected and surcharged 35,000 Ghana cedis. Acting General Manager of the ECG, Engineer Emmanuel Ankama, has been speaking to Joy Business.
As part of this exercise, we have an in-house method that we are adopting by analyzing the power consumptions of our customers. Through that exercise in-house, we had few customers that we identified as having their consumption below expectation. One of such customers is Fawe FM within our in-some operational area. And some of the gadgets that we identified to having used electricity free was their transmitter, was their air conditionings, and other office equipments.
He promised the public a package when they report any such illegal activities.
We are saying customers desist from this act. It is weighing the company down. The company needs money to put up good equipment to serve you better. We are putting up a meter control center where all meters could be monitored from a console. So we have smart meters, and all our smart meters can directly be monitored from the office.
He indicated that his office is targeting to retrieve over 8 million Ghana cedis from illegal activities this year. Fred Duho's report for Joy Business.
The Registrar General Jemima Owari says the department is working to upgrade its online and digital solution to generate certificates which will be accepted by banks and other financial institutions. This is to help eliminate human contact in the registration process. Jemima Owari spoke to my colleague Norvan Akwa Hayford when she paid a courtesy call on the management of the Multimedia Group Limited.
Definitely it's better than what it was before when we were purely manual. But it's still not what we want it to be. We have a bit more work to do with that one. We want a portal or we want an online registration whereby you will not need to come into my office at all. You can sit wherever you are, pay online, get all the processes, the profiles after you've registered, online. Currently, you can do that. But what happens is that we do not have an electronically securitized certificate with my signature and everything on it, such that you can take that one away to open your account. You get an electronically generated certificate, but most of the banks are not too conversant with that one. And so most people, even though they might register online, will still go through the traffic and come and collect the hard copy certificates. That's why I'm saying we have it in place, but I wish, and I'm pushing for it to be upgraded to make it more friendly and more easy for our various businesses or customers to sit wherever they are and complete the process without coming to my office, without stepping there, without coming to meet anybody and handing any money over to them. Our online payment system also had a problem initially.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you if that has been corrected.
We are still in the process of correcting it. We are still in the process of correcting it. I am pushing before the mid of this year to be sure that you can pay online in ease. We are currently being linked up to the government.gov payment platform. Once that happens, I believe we're going to have a more friendlier, experience on our portal than we currently are. That is one of the reasons why I can agree that you go onto the portal, but along the way you might have to end up and come back to my office and come and pay. That shouldn't be the case. You should have that experience where you start from the beginning to the end, and do everything online. It's definitely better. You can do your searches now online. Yes. You can download your forms online. You can start the process online. You can actually pay online sometimes. But sometimes you also have to come to the office and come and pay. That is what I want to stop.
Yeah, that brings me to the question of how many days, if I should ask you are the Registrar General, as of today, how many days would it take me if I have to walk into your office and register a business?
For currently, the system as it is now, a business name can be done within 30 minutes. The business name, there's not much to it. Within 30 minutes to an hour, you can have a business name. It's the bureaucratic procedure of printing certificates, having it signed, printing profiles, and sending it down for people to collect. That is what is the delay. That's why I meant if I'm doing an upgrade of the system, I would ensure that the certificate would have my signature on it. You wouldn't need to come and collect it.
Certainly some good news there. Now, Brent crude is still struggling to recover from the impact of the deadly coronavirus. It went down further today, selling at $54.22 a barrel. More on the market performance in the commodity news. Before we go, the Multimedia Group is celebrating 25 years of joy. We are grateful to you at home for being part of the Joy story. There's more joy on the Joy News channel and also on myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Sandra Esinama. See you same time tomorrow on the Business News.
It's now time for sports, and I'm sitting in for all of them. Disqualified GFA presidential aspirant Wilfred Osei Kweku has paid on behalf of the GFA for his appeal to be heard by Court of Arbitration for Sport. Let's get to my Joe online for the story. So Wilfred Kukos, probably known as Palmer, has paid 22,000 Swiss francs to the Court of Arbitration for Sports on behalf of the Ghana Football Association for his disqualification from presidential elections appeal case to be heard. The payment was made to the Financial Department of the World Sports Tribunal on Tuesday to set a date for its appeal to be heard. Last week, Joy Sports reported the GFA failed to pay their part of the advance calls for hearing as requested by CAS. The finance director of CAS, Miguel Albeles, wrote to him to foot the remainder of the bill or have the case thrown out. Team Palmer initially wrote to CAS requesting for an extension of time as they deemed the 2 weeks window too short a time to raise the money. Now, the newly appointed communications director of the GFA, Henry Asantichum, says he wants to make the department more visible by using its communication channels. He plans on making the department's social media platforms very vibrant, as well as ensuring the GFA's website becomes mobile friendly.
One of the things I want to do is to make the department more visible. And by making the department more visible, it means we must use our communication channels. Our social media platforms have to be very, very vibrant. I think it's already doing well, but there should be that upgrade. The website, the official communicator of the FA, must also be up and doing. I realize that certain things, don't really sit well. I don't understand why the website is not video friendly, and is not gallery friendly, and is also not mobile friendly. So immediately I commissioned the postman to speak with the website developer. I have a meeting with him on Wednesday. I want to discuss the possibility of changing the interface of the website to make it more video friendly. And then also I want to create a system where people can also make an input when they see the stories on the FA website. And that's the only way you can gauge feedback, and that's the only way we can also receive input and relevant information from the public and those who visit the website. I also want to give a certain brand identity to the Ghana Premier League. I think there is a lot to do, a lot of work to be done. Straight away, I spoke with the president, and what we want to do is to get an official song for the Premier League. This song will be played across the league centers every weekend, and I'm sure it will also lead our promotions for the league activities. Another thing is that I want us to lead the way. I want us to show the way. So I expect my department to preview games, review games, be more visible. I don't understand why we cover our league games, but aside the games that are broadcasted by the official partner, we don't get to see the goals scored from the other league centers. It's something that has to be done, and is one of my immediate plans that I really want to roll out.
The GFA, meanwhile, says it will soon adopt an e-ticketing system to boost attendance at the Ghana Premier League games, according to Vice Chairman of the Premier League Management Committee, Jesse Ejepong.
We need to automate part of our processes, including launching the e-ticketing platform. Yes. Now, we think that what the e-ticketing platform would have done for us is it guarantees people access to the place, and therefore they don't have to fight in the queue. And you're quite clear that, look, if the match is sold out, it's sold out. So you don't have to necessarily queue or fight of a sort. And we think that probably would address the bulk of the issues. When launched officially, our e-ticketing platform would allow you to string a USSD to buy a ticket. You will be able to buy a ticket using a Visa card and things like that. That's like number one. Number two is finding better ways of ensuring that media accreditation is properly synced in the system, that it allows the media person to be able to walk in easily. I mean, like some of the Premier League Management Committee members stood at the gate when the incident happened. Yeah. And it wasn't easy. So Fifi is completely right. It was very chaotic.
And that'll be all for sports. I'll be back then, but with Joy News Interactive. All right, welcome to Joy News Interactive. And there are two stories that you have been commenting about. It's one of them has to do with the assaults of persons who had defied or were said to have defied the funeral dress code, or the dress code for the funeral of the Queen Mother of the Sunyani traditional area. And the other story has to do with the directive by the Speaker that sanctions could be meted out to journalists who fail to cover proceedings or abandon proceedings in the chamber to cover other matters on the precincts of Parliament. We'll start with that, and the story led the bulletin this evening. So Jack Apata says the job of the journalist to follow events of general interest to the public and report on them. If the Speaker cannot sanction MPs addressing the press on the side due during a parliamentary session, he should not bully the journalist doing his job. Felix says the Spirit of God has left the majority side of Parliament and now on the minority side, just as it has also left President Akufo-Addo and now on John Dramani Mahama. The majority will now take a spear and would want to pin the minority to the wall, just as Saul sought to do to David. But nothing will work for them henceforth. The Speaker should have known this long ago. Okay, so Felix decides to go biblical. Evans says a responsible media person is always on the lookout for action sports where the news is worth reporting. And in the democracy, I don't think the Speaker has the right to determine what should be reported by the media. They didn't leave the premises of Parliament, and goes on that this dictatorial attitude must stop somewhere. It started from the executive using the law to shut down media houses that suspect to be reporting matters or issues that are not in government favor. Let's move on. Nash says, right, well and fully supported, Mr. Speaker. This attitude of the media must be stopped. They must really be cautioned sternly and regulated on what they do with issues of the nation. I say, Nash. Theophilus says, yes, I think the Speaker is totally right, because most of the media are not feeding the citizens the needful information we want. Everything going on within the floor of the House is very important to the people, not outside. Why do you have to cover what is going on outside while what matters the country most, you ignore it? There should be a restriction. And Nanayao says, I'm listening to Evans and I'm utterly disappointed for the disregard of authority. Okay, probably we're referring to Newsnight. But I must say that following this story, the Parliamentary Service has issued a statement, and in which they are saying that the Speaker never sought to gag the media, as has been suggested. Now, let's move on to the other story, which has to do, we're going to Sunyani. Now, the story is that some people were assaulted. Some persons who were just going about their business in Sunyani were assaulted because they were not dressed in black clothes as directed by the Funeral Planning Committee for the Queen Mother of the Sunyani traditional area. Now, the videos have gone viral and we have you commenting on them. Coranting Alex says, no one can honor the dead. It's very nonsense and stupid to hear people saying we're showing last respect for the dead. What is the relationship between the dead and the living? Master, please work out for your own salvation and honor people when they are alive. Frank says, this is abuse of fundamental human rights of the citizenry. It's outmoded and uncultured. Michael Tree says, this is human rights abuse. Who cares about the Queen Mother, and why must people be assaulted because of her? These barbaric traditions need to be banned. Strict laws must be made to prevent these traditional leaders from trampling on the people's rights. Ba Atta says, why do we use rights and other things to disrespect those in authority? Even the whites who brought that right thing into Ghana respect their queen. If you're not in Sunyani and don't know what is going on there, you better shut up. They used about 3 weeks or a month to educate the people on this. No one is forcing someone to mourn with them, but there are some principal streets in Sunyani where their rites will be performed. So you don't have to come there or get closer to that scene when you are not in either red or black. Ask those who were in their houses whether they were beating. We don't get up to 50 years and die because we don't respect our political and most importantly our traditional rulers. These are traditions, and even Jesus Christ and Prophet Muhammad respected the traditions of the various backgrounds. Okay, so these are some of the comments that you shared with us. And I must say, well, the Sunyani traditional area is not the only place that would tend to issue such a fiat. There are some other traditional areas that have issued these fiats. And in some places, they have been strictly observed. In other places, well, not so strictly observed. But I must also say that the Sunyani traditional Council has come out to condemn the attacks on people. They're saying that some of the people who went about attacking people turned out to be imposters and that they are not really with the funeral planning committee, and the police apparently is looking into all of this. And that's how we end Joy News Interactive here on Joy News Prime on the Joy News channel. My name is Israel. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.